Welcome back to the Weekly Sportscast with your hosts, Jake Gould and Brandon Skinner. In today's episode, we're going to be going through our way too early NFL Top 10 Power Rankings and discussing our selections for it.
This week's episode is co-sponsored by Leonard Fournette's Ball Dye and Jalen Ramsey's costume designer. Let's get into it.
I don't know how to intro this shit. I'm not good at those. Let's just get into it.
You are now listening to a Channel production.
Playing some ball with my friends. Fuck up my pinky again. Cut it open.
Excuse the profanity. That was courtesy of our good friend Woods. He can find him on SoundCloud. That's Woods, WOODSSS, WOODSSS.
Before we get started in today's episode, we'd like to announce that we're going to be hosting a fantasy football league this season on ESPN Fantasy. And so the only two requirements that you need to be entered in this league are to be subscribed to the YouTube channel and to be following the Instagram page at The Weekly Sportscast. And so if you're interested and you meet both those requirements, just DM us at The Weekly Sportscast on Instagram, and we'll send you that information. So there's only 8 spots available. It's a 10-person league, and we take up 2 of the spots. So first 8 is first come, first serve. And so, yeah, if you're interested in that, just DM us and do that stuff. It would be greatly appreciated. Alright, so we're going to get into our top 10 power rankings, as we said in the intro. And so, Jake, why don't you let us know your 10th place selection in your power rankings, which are wrong.
Whoa, already a hot take, and we haven't even started talking.
Oh, baby.
For my 10th most powerful NFL team, I actually have a tie between the Chargers and the Cowboys. I believe these are both teams that people are sleeping on just because of overlying factors such as, last year the Chargers started the season 0-4. If they won one of those games, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. And the Cowboys got slept on because Ezekiel Elliott was out for 6 games. But I do think that both of these teams can make the postseason this year. The Cowboys still have the best offensive line in the league with 3 Pro Bowlers, one of the best running backs in the league with Ezekiel Elliott, a very underrated defense. That may get Earl Thomas later in the year.
Okay.
And I know people have questions about the rest of the offense because they have no wide receivers except for Allen Hurns
and Cole Beasley.
Part of the Jaguars organization.
Oh, baby. We'll
see how Allen Hurns does. He's supposed to be given the number 1 wide receiver role. I mean, he got 1,000 yards 2 years ago. Anything can happen. And the Chargers also have a very underrated defense. Of course, they have Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, one of the best defensive lines in the league. They added Derwin James, who was a steal in the draft this year. They have another great and underrated running back in Melvin Gordon. Phillip Rivers, at 36, he's still plugging away. He dropped 4,000 yards this year. And Keenan Allen is a top 10 wide receiver in this league. So if they can win a game in the first month of the year, expect to see them in the postseason.
Those are respectable reasons, but I'm going to have to disagree with you. I have the Atlanta Falcons in my number 10 spot by themselves, not a tie. And while I do think the Chargers are just outside this top 10 list, I think they're 12 or 13 or something like that. I'm not sold on them. I think that Derwin James, as you said, I watched him in college a lot because he played at FSU, and I'm not a Florida State fan, but my mom is, so we watch a lot of their games, and while he was really good, he got crossed up a lot. He got embarrassed a lot, and so I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks. Phillip Rivers, while I love that man, he's a trash talker. I think he's awesome. He's never really been injured super bad in his career, so I think he's...
The man got a concussion 1 week and then came back to play the next week. I know, because he killed me in fantasy.
Oh.
Trust Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, but I think he might be due for an injury. I don't know. I just think Joey Bosa is a great young player, and so is Melvin Ingram, and so that defensive line is strong. But I don't know. And then your Dallas Cowboys. I am a big Dallas Cowboys fan. My dad was a fan, so now I'm become a Cowboys fan. And after watching them religiously for the last couple of seasons, they have the weakest defense maybe in the league.
Oh, that's not true at all. You know that.
It's very true. Sean Lee is their best defensive player, and he is always injured. He's
DeMarcus Lawrence.
Sean Lee is their best defensive player, and he's always injured, and so that's just the biggest core out of their their defense. And DeMarcus Lawrence, while he did very good, he's a one-year player so far, so I can't jump to any conclusions about that. And the Cowboys defense always seems to choke. I think Dak Prescott is very overrated. I love the offensive line, and I love Ezekiel Elliott, but Dak Prescott under center, I think he looked way better than he actually is in his rookie season just because Ezekiel Elliott did so well in his rookie season. So I think his numbers were inflated, and his abilities looked way more than they actually are. So I don't...
Well, you can say the same thing about our dear Bortles and Fournette, so...
Yeah, but the Jaguars have a top defense in the league, so it's different. But we'll get to that later.
Ooh.
Alright, so moving on to the number 9 slot, I have the Kansas City Chiefs in my slot. What do you have, Jake?
I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Just kidding.
Bro, you
Andy
sleep on the
Dalton.
Red Rocket.
I hate Andy Dalton. No, on number 9, I have the Falcons.
Okay.
This is a team that 2 years ago scored over 30 points a game. They had a little bit of a first-year struggle under new offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian. But, I mean, the chemistry's just going to grow between Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, who's still top 5 wide receiver. They had Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, who is
good.
that's probably the best wide receiver trio in the league. Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, and Calvin Ridley. They have an underrated 1-2 running back punch with Devonta Freeman, Tevin Coleman. Austin Hooper is a up-and-coming tight end. And they still have the same 2016 defense that destroyed the league. So I expect another deep playoff run for the Falcons. But their postseason success will again depend on how badly Matty Ice chokes.
Yeah, I have the Chiefs in this spot. And while I love the Falcons overall, I think Matty Ice he had his one good year. And it seems with him, he's got a good year.
An MVP year.
He had an MVP year. Well, I mean, he won the MVP. And I think Matty Ice, he'll have one great year and then have one bad year. So I think last year was his mediocre year, and so this year he should bounce back. So, I mean, I have them only one spot lower, so we're about pretty much even on that. But with the Chiefs, I think that they are such an offensively talented team with guys such as Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and Kareem Hunt, who blew up last year. And now they have a second-year quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who is likely going to be the starter. And I think that he's just uber talented. I think he's got a great arm, and he's really smart and athletic. And so I think this offense is going to be firing on all cylinders, and they're going to be a top 5 offense in the league this year. And so all their success is going to be reliant on that defense. The defense is what let them down in this last year's playoffs when they blew a 21-3 lead against the AFC South's own Tennessee Titans.
To Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota literally threw a touchdown pass to himself. Oh, my God. But,
hey,
yeah.
Do you know who's defending Marcus Mariota when he threw that pass to himself? Do you know who?
Who?
Darrelle Revis.
Oh, my God.
Darrelle Revis bad the pass away, let Mariota catch it by himself. It's okay, he's retired now.
I know.
Revis Island retired this week on a one-day contract as a Jet.
Yeah.
Probably second best quarterback of all time after Deion Sanders.
Yeah, arguably. But he shouldn't be overtaken by Jalen Ramsey. So,
I hope so.
I think that if the Chiefs stay healthy, if Travis Kelce doesn't get injured in the first half of a playoff game, I think they're going to be a very dangerous team and could make a deep playoff run as long as that offense is firing on all cylinders like Andy Reid usually has them doing.
I love this Chiefs offense. I think Mahomes is going to be explosive immediately. He just has so many weapons. It's impossible for him to not succeed. He has a little bit of Brett Favre in him, that gunslinger attitude. But my problem is the defense. They traded away their best player, Marcus Peters, who has the most interceptions in the league since 2015. And they really don't have anybody after that. I mean, they got back Kendall Fuller after trading Alex Smith, who was an amazing slot cornerback. But, I mean, who's going to cover your number 1 and number 2? This defense is going to be the Achilles heel of this team. They're just going to have to hope that Mahomes can outscore their opponents every time they take the field, and that's why I have them just outside of my top 10. I have them like 11 to 12.
Yeah, I have more faith in this Chiefs offense than you do, but, I mean, they're only at 9, so. This moves us on to our number 8 selection, and where me and Jake both have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers are a very interesting team to me. I think that they obviously have the best receiver in the league right now, Antonio Brown, and they have arguably the best running back in the league, Le'Veon Bell. and they have a good quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, the Killer Bees...
A Hall of Famer.
The Hall of Famer. The Killer Bees are always going to be the backbone of this team, but I think, for now, the window is closing for this team, and I say that because I saw them last year crumble against the Jaguars, a Jaguars team that was very young, and although very talented, they were still very young, with a first-year coach and a first-year godfather in Tom Coughlin. And I saw that in that game in the playoffs, in the second round of the AFC playoffs, I saw the Pittsburgh Steelers only got beat by 3 points, 45-42, but the Jaguars manhandled them. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, all their points came on like ridiculous plays that Le'Veon Bell caught like 2 like behind his shoulder, like pinned it on his body weird, where Miles Jack was in his pocket, and Antonio Brown did the same like twice when Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye in his pocket. So
their last touchdown was in the last 30 seconds of the game.
Yeah, and so it was the game was a lot more dominant than the score indicated, and the Jaguars owned them twice in Pittsburgh, and I think that it's just the Steelers. I think the window's closing, and right now you're going to see kind of the fall of a dynasty, and you're going to have to... Well, not I say a dynasty, but the Steelers have been preeminent Super Bowl contenders every year. I think they're going to start dropping off after this year, especially if Le'Veon Bell keeps holding out for a contract, and especially if Ryan Shazier can't get back on the field, because he was their best defensive player, and their defense without him is very lackluster.
Yeah, as you said, the real issue why I don't have the Steelers in the top 5 is because of the lack of Shazier. That defense took a major hit after he got injured in Week 14, it was.
Something like that.
That led to them getting torched by our very own Blake Bortles. The loss of Martavis Bryant doesn't help, as they don't really have a third wide receiver now. And also the lack of production from the tight end position. That's not going to help Big Ben as he enters his age 37 year. Really helps to have those safety blankets as you get older. And I just think the Jags and other teams like the Chiefs and the Chargers are just more young and up-and-coming, may be able to usurp the Killer Bees. Also doesn't help that Le'Veon Bell, as you mentioned, will be playing under the franchise tag this year. But I'm not worried. It's all precursors to him becoming a New York Jet next year.
Oh, baby. All right.
He grew up a Jets fan. Anything can happen.
All right. Moving right along to the number 6 spot, I have the New Orleans Saints. And, Jake, what do you have?
Whew. I have the Packers.
All right, so starting off with the Saints, I think that last year they were one stupid play away from going to the NFC Championship and playing against the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, the Minneapolis Miracle was all that stopped them from going to the NFC Championship as young as they were. I mean, Alvin Kamara, he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he was an MVP candidate.
And Marshawn Lattimore won Defensive Player of the Year.
And Marshawn Lattimore, even though he messed up that play, even though he messed up that tackle on the Minneapolis
That wasn't him.
Yes, it was it not? I'm like 95% sure it was him.
It was somebody else.
I think, okay, whatever. Regardless, it was whatever. They're a very young team with a really solid quarterback, immediate Hall of Famer, first ballot, and Drew Brees, probably the most accurate quarterback of all time. And this team has a young defense. They have a young offense with Kamara and Ingram, probably the best 1-2 running back punch in the league. And they were just very good last year, very kind of surprising. Alvin Kamara was in like the 3rd round or something in the draft. And so it was just very surprising that they were that good, and I think they're going to be even better this next year and they're going to be high competitors in a very stacked NFC.
Well, I have the Saints a lot higher than that for a couple of reasons I'll get into later. But the reason I have the Packers here is also kind of like a Chiefs syndrome where they don't really have that good of a defense. Yeah, they drafted back-to-back cornerbacks this year, but I really don't know how much of an impact they'll be able to have as rookies. But, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the league.
Ooh.
He has touchdown machines in Devontae Adams and Jimmy Graham. He's a very underrated backfield with the trio of Ty Montgomery, Jamal Williams, and Aaron Jones. And, I mean, I can't wait to see more Hail Marys this year. I mean, you're insane if you don't think the Packers are in the top 10 in the league.
What?
It's asinine to think the Packers are in the top 10 team in the league with Aaron Rodgers healthy.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Rodgers is the key to this whole thing.
He should have an MVP year.
Oh, yeah.
He's angry.
Yeah, he's angry. He missed that thing. This team is sort of like the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron. I think that's a good comparison where without LeBron James, they're almost nothing. They're barely a playoff team. But with LeBron, they're finals contenders, and they're competing to win a championship every single year. And so Aaron Rodgers is essentially this entire team. And we saw that last year when he got injured, this team couldn't do anything. I mean, Brett Hundley, God bless the man, he's just not that good. He's not that good. Well,
they got Deshaun Kaiser now, so watch out.
Oh, that's an upgrade. All right, moving right along to the number 5 spot, where I have the Los Angeles Rams, and Jake has the...
Our very own Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, baby. All right, tell us about the Jaguars.
There's one reason that I don't have the Jaguars in the top 3. And
don't say it.
It's double B's. It's
oh
Blake
my
Bortles.
God.
I'm sorry.
Jake.
The reason we aren't seriously considered Super Bowl contenders by every mainstream sports media outlet is because of Blake Bortles, who is his ceiling is an average quarterback. Right now he's a below average quarterback that had his weaknesses hidden by an amazing running game, the best running game in the league, the best defense in the league, and a very easy schedule. We will see how Blake does against the top 5 defenses he has to face in the Eagles and the Steelers and other places. But, I mean, the Jags, although we have a tougher schedule, we're a better team. We probably have a better wide receiver core, just through like the growth of Cole and Westbrook, the Marquise Lee accepting the number 1 wide receiver role. We have a better tight end situation with the former Jet offensive Arian Jenkins, and we still have 14 Pro Bowlers on the defense.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I have the Jags a little bit higher than you do, but we'll talk about that later. And in the number 6 slot, I have the Los Angeles Rams. I think that this team showed us what they could do last year. They have an up-and-coming quarterback in Jared Goff. They have an offensive-minded coach. I forget the guy's name. Sean McVay. Yeah, that's him. He's a really good coach. He's a young coach. They have Todd Gurley, who probably should have won MVP last year, and he's a really good running back. They have Aaron Donald in one of the top defenses in the league. Aaron Donald, the defensive player last year, who should have been Calais Campbell, but it's another story.
Hot take.
But yeah, I think this team is very solid. They're young, up and coming. They have a young coach, and they're going to be looked to run and gun this year in the NFC. So that's why I have them at number 6. All right, and so for this next number...
Well, I actually have the Rams at number 5. So I'll just continue on what you were saying. Now, this team looks so stacked on paper. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of talent they have on both sides of the ball. As you mentioned, Jared Goff, already a Pro Bowler in his second year. Todd Gurley, best running back in the league last year. They added Brandon Cooks to pair with... what's his name?
Sammy Watkins?
No, Sammy Watkins went to the Chiefs.
Oh, dang, bro. The Chiefs going to be loaded.
My God. What's his name?
Cooper Kupp.
And they signed Ndamukong Suh in the offseason, traded for...
Ndamukong Suh.
Whatever. Traded for Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, which is probably the best cornerback duo in the league.
Whoa. You said that was the best cornerback duo in the league?
I meant second best. Second best. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, Jalen Ramsey and AJ Bouye are by far the best cornerbacks pair in the league. All right, continue.
Sorry.
You're
they
good.
Could be the second best in the league. They have the best fantasy kicker in Greg Zuerlein.
Greg the Leg.
I was thinking of Robert Woods as the wide receiver I was talking about.
He's good too.
Anyways, as I was saying, I could just go on and on about the upside of this team. Tyler Higbee at tight end. The problem is, the Ndamukong Suh, Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, these guys are all assholes. These are guys that get penalties, that get ejected from games. Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, and what's his name? Amari Cooper, ripped each other's chains off in a game last year. So Sean McVay has his hands full just trying to babysit this team. But if they can't get their chemistry together and not kill each other in the locker room, they can go to the Super Bowl easy.
Easy. All right. So I actually have the flip-flop pairing in these 5 and 6 spots. I have the Jaguars at number 5. And aside from Blake Bortles, who I think is underrated, and he's going to have a step-up year like he did last year. I think he's going to do that again. The Jaguars
I hope.
are probably the most talented team in the NFL on paper. And in game. They have the best defense in the NFL.
Most talented defense.
Just to
but
name,
the Rams, by far, have better.
I don't know. Just to name a few players on the defense. Miles Jack, Telvin Smith. I think they were both Pro Bowlers, and Telvin Smith was on an All-Pro team. Calais Campbell. Our defensive line, in and of itself, our second-string defensive line is better than most teams' first-string defensive line.
That's facts.
Calais Campbell, Marcel Darius, if he doesn't get accused of whatever he got accused of, Dante Fowler, Taven Bryan, Malik Jackson, Avery Jones. I don't know if he's back, but he's raw too. We have a stacked defensive line, and we have the cornerbacks to back it. I think we were second in the league last year in sacks. We had 10 sacks against Houston, even with Deshaun Watson. And I think we have the best cornerbacks in the league in A.J. Bouye and Jalen Ramsey. We have some of the best safeties in the league in Barry Church, Tayshaun Gibson, and the newly drafted Ronnie Harrison, who was a steal in the third round. And
Ronnie Harrison was a steal.
And so our defense alone can win us 10 games, I think. And you look on the offensive side of the ball, we have newly acquired receivers such as DJ Chark through the draft, Dante Moncrief through free agency, and we have some returning guys like Marquise Lee, and we have I don't know who else. D.D. Westbrook.
Colin Westbrook.
D.D. Westbrook and Keelan Cole, who are also really good guys. Not to mention Rashard Green, who's been hurt but produced when he was on the field, and Jadon Mickens, who's the best punt returner in the league. So we're just a very stacked team. Leonard Fournette is raw. Our offensive line was really good last year, and it only got better as we were the only team in the league to add an All-Pro through free agency. We added guard Norwell. What's his first name?
Andrew Norwell.
Andrew Norwell. And it was an All-Pro guard in Carolina, and he came here and just bolstered our offensive line even more. So we're going to ground and pound. Blake Bortles is going to do his thing, throw for 200 yards and a touchdown every game. And this team is probably the most talented team in the NFL. And if they can put it all together and play smart in the playoffs, they will go to the Super Bowl this year over a fading Pittsburgh Steelers team and a fading Patriots team with 42-year-old dad bod Tom Brady. So
yeah, I agree with that. I really think the Jags can go to the Super Bowl this year, but again, I just don't trust Blake. I'm sorry. And the Rams. The only reason I put the Rams over the Jags is because the Jags and Rams both have very talented defense. The Jags are definitely more talented, but the talent on the Rams defense just overwhelms the talent on the Jags. The talent on the Rams offense overwhelms the talent on the Jags defense, and that's why I have them flip-flop.
Okay, whatever. Let's move on to the number 4 spot, where this is the last spot where we have a different opinion. In my spot, I have the Green Bay Packers at number 4, whereas what do you have, Jake?
I have the Saints.
The Saints. Okay. So I'm going to start off talking about the Packers. I think that with Aaron Rodgers, who is the best quarterback in the league right now, and he may be the most talented quarterback in NFL history, even though Tom Brady is the most decorated and has the most accolades, I think Aaron Rodgers is more talented as a quarterback than Tom Brady is.
That's facts.
That is facts. So I think that while he's healthy, this team could go to the Super Bowl. They've already won it one time with him just leading the team by himself pretty much. And so I think if they put it together and he stays healthy, that's the biggest thing. If he's healthy, this team is a Super Bowl contender. But if he's not, this team is in the bottom third of the league. And so it all rides on Aaron Rodgers' health. And if he can stay inside the pocket and not take those big hits like he did last year, they're going to be really good.
I agree with that. I just think that 4 is too high of a placing for them because it relies so much on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I guess.
But I'll give my pitch for the Saints. I mean, I think the Saints are just a perfect team. They have top 3 quarterback in Breeze. They have the best backfield duo with Ingram and Kamara. Michael Thomas is underrated.
Michael Thomas screwed me over on fantasy every year. I draft him and he never catches any touchdowns, and it makes me so mad.
He doesn't touch touchdowns. He only gets 1,000 yards a year.
Yeah, it's so embarrassing. All right, we've already talked.
And again, Marshawn Lattimore, defensive rookie of the year. They have some offensive guard, Ryan Ramczak or whatever, who was also good.
Ryan
Adamczak?
Adamczak?
A rookie. Not Ryan Adams, like Ryan Ramsey. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the details, but this team this is a perfect team.
Yeah.
They just got better this year in the offseason. They stole DeMario Davis from the Jets, who was a great linebacker addition. And this team can go to the Super Bowl if they can overcome two of the other teams in our top 10.
Yeah, definitely. So, now getting into the top three, me and Jake have the same three teams in the same order. At number 3, we both have the New England Patriots. This is an easy pick. I think that they are probably the most, I don't know about the most complete team in football, but they are definitely the most well-coached team in football. Tom Brady is the GOAT. And it seems like every year, no matter who's at receiver, they find these short, dinky little white guys that can cut and catch 5-yard passes. And that's just all they do. And they have James White in the backfield who just catches 5-yard passes. And they just dink and dunk down the whole field. The only reason that I don't have them higher, even though they went to the Super Bowl and they're probably the best, they've been the best team in the league for the past 15, 20 years, is because they were gifted a trip to the Super Bowl last year. They had two
Miles
lucky.
Jack wasn't down.
Miles Jack wasn't
down.
They had two stupid whistle blows. They got a pass interference call at the end of the first half against the Jaguars that gave them 50 yards and allowed them to score a touchdown instead of a field goal or even no points. And then Miles Jack stripped Deion Lewis and got up and was running, and then the refs went and celebrated the Patriots while blowing Miles Jack down. And if he runs that in, we go up 17 with 8 minutes left, and it's over for Tom Brady. And so I think I couldn't put them higher because they got gifted that game by the refs.
I don't have him higher because two reasons. First of all, Tom Brady is not going to be good forever. I mean, he has to decline eventually. This could be the year. Every year at this point from now on could be the year that Brady just isn't good anymore. And also because they lost some important players this year. They lost Nate Solder, who is a great left tackle, and protecting a 40-year-old quarterback in his blind side is huge.
Yes.
They lost Deion Lewis, who is a great running back who really helped spur in a little fire in the last half of the season. They lost Danny Amendola, who is the most important quirky white guy in the wide receiver last year. Dinky, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So yeah.
They lost Malcolm Butler, who, although he didn't play in the Super Bowl, is still a great cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
Although they did add Sony Michel, and they added Isaiah Wynn, I think, to try to man the left tackle. I don't know how good they're going to be, how they will thrive in their roles. And Julian Edelman getting suspended for the first 4 games is only going to hurt them. Gronk has talked about retiring for the past 2 off seasons now. So
let's talk about that for a second. That's so weird to me. He's 29, and he's the best tight end in football.
Well, he gets hurt a lot, and he already has 2 or 3 rings. He doesn't really see a purpose. I mean, he's never played a full 16 games.
Yeah, but he's raw, so I don't know. All right, moving on to our number 2 spot. We both have the Minnesota Vikings. Tell us about that, Jake.
Vikings, I also view as just a perfect team, stacked on both sides of the ball. They had I'd put them as the second best defense last year after the Jags. Xavier Rhodes is the second best cornerback in the league after our own Jalen. They have a great offensive line. They have so much talent offensively. Dalvin Cook was one of the best running backs in the league before he got injured. Latavius Murray is still very good. Adam Thielen and what's his name?
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs is one of the best wide receiver pairings in the league. Kyle Rudolph is an underrated tight end. And they added Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
He chucks 4,000 yards no matter who he's throwing to. Kirk Cousins could throw to Joe Montana right now and still pass. and still throw for 4,000 yards. So this is going to be I think this team could go to the Super Bowl this year legitimately. It's a shame they didn't do it last year when Minnesota hosted it. But, I mean, it's impossible to have the Vikings not in your top 3.
Yeah, I agree. The Vikings are almost a perfect team. They're very, very good on both sides of the ball. They have the most raw celebration in the entire league with the skull chant. That's very intimidating.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful, and I think my coolest sports moment was when Case Keenum led that skull chant after the Minneapolis Miracle. That was so cool. But I think the Vikings are a very good team, as you said. They're very complete. They have weapons on offense and defense, and there's no reason why they should not go to the Super Bowl this year. If they can stay healthy and just play their game, there's no reason why they shouldn't go.
There's one reason, and it's the number one team on this list, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh.
The underdogs.
Oh, the underdogs.
They call themselves the underdogs the whole postseason after Wentz got hurt, and then Foles won MVP, so...
1 second, shut up. Yeah, I think the Eagles, the underdogs, are a very, very talented team. They made a really good Super Bowl run last year. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl, and they did that all with a backup quarterback. And even as much as I love Nick Foles, he's not Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a beast. He's from North Dakota State University, and he's raw. And so this team is one of the most complete teams in the league, and they're going to get Carson Wentz back, who is arguably their best player. I think the only question for this team going forward is the health of Carson Wentz. I mean, they're getting him back, but coming off an ACL tear is never easy for anyone, no matter how good or tough you are.
Especially for a mobile quarterback like him.
Yeah, but Carson Wentz is really young, so that if there was a time to tear your ACL, this would have been it. And so it's...
Oh, come on. Don't say something like that.
What? That's true.
Whatever.
So I think that he's not even the missing piece. He's just another addition that they can make to this team, and he's going to lead the team. And then if he gets hurt again, he has Nick Foles, who's probably as good as most starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles went to a Pro Bowl a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he threw 7 touchdowns in a game.
It's very true.
Oh.
The biggest thing for this Eagles team was just not changing anything, and they did that. They added good depth moves in the draft. The only major loss was LeGarrette Blount, who, I mean, they still have Jay Ajayi, so they're good.
Mm.
And, I mean, second best tight end in the league.
Zach Ertz.
In Ertz. A very underrated wide receiver in Alshon Jeffrey.
Oh, yeah.
And MVP candidate for next year behind center. So, Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah, buddy. So, that about wraps up our top 10 NFL power rankings. Let us know what y'all's top 10 teams are down below in the comments. Ooh.
Like, subscribe, tell your mom.
Tell your mom. Follow the Instagram page at The Weekly Sportscast. We post on there a bunch of sports, like, not even memes, just, like, funny sports stuff. And you can see our last post about the Last SETI, or Last SETI.
Oh, we always post about The Last Jedi.
We always post about SETI Osmond. So, yeah, just subscribe, like, do your thing, and follow the Instagram page at The Weekly Sportscast again. So, thank y'all for listening, and that's about it.
See ya.
See ya.